Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the Wrestle Podcast. I'm your host, Aeron, and it is time to discuss NXT Takeover in your house. What a throwback to when I was a little kid. And joining me for this wonderful throwback is Canada's finest, the greatest cleaner ever, at least in his part of Canada, because in Winnipeg there seems to be some other geezer who fancies himself as a bit of a cleaner, although I have it on good authority that this man knows how to handle a broom far better than Mr. Omega, Kyle Wilkinson.
Who told you? No one's supposed to tell you. That was supposed to be our secret.
You know how to handle a
son
broom.
of a bitch.
So, NXT TakeOver in your house. Only 6 matches to get involved with. Opening up with a 6 women's tag team match. The face team of Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Nox, and Mia Yim faced the heel team of Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez, and the faces went over. What did you think of this opener?
I didn't expect the faces to go over, but the match itself was still super fun. Shotzi Blackheart is just so much fun. She's driving out in her little tank. It was an okay opener. I mean, at some point, Candice and Mia just kind of fucked off back into the garage because we had the old setback, which I'm sure everyone is really excited about. And yeah, they just went fighting through the garage, and it became just a standard tag match, and, you know, the faces win, and it was okay, I guess.
The match was fine, a little bit sloppy for me. Some spots that went down in this match kind of disappointed me a little bit. My MVP of this match was Shotzi Blackheart. I thought she was absolutely phenomenal in this match and proved that she could do with a little bit more of a push. That little tank is so freaking adorable. It's so good. I love the entrance. I love her look. She's got a great look. She's sexy, but she's cute. She's got a great vibe, and she's got a great moveset. Most importantly, she's a great in-ring worker. She's not all just style. She's got great substance there as well. And she really contributed to this. But like you say, really disappointed that the faces went over. I don't think they needed a win. And once again, I'm left completely flabbergasted as to why they won't push Dakota Kai. Really disappoints me. The other person I really enjoyed in this match, by the way, Raquel Gonzalez. There is this real attitude towards larger, more powerful women, I've noticed, when it comes to wrestling, particularly WWE. They're shitty fans and apologists. Not all of them, but, you know, the smarkiest of the smarks. They're always like, oh, fuck's sake, fucking hate big women. Oh, Raquel Gonzalez can't work. Bollocks. Great worker. Really good. She doesn't need to be flipping around like an indie loon. She does what she does really well. And the match overall was fine. It was very sloppy, though. And there were quite a few botches in it and, miscommunications, moves not really connecting properly. One of the biggest issues I have with women's wrestling as a whole, because we love women's wrestling, we cover it so much, I get really annoyed when the women don't lay their shit in. In the main event, we saw 3 women really lay their shit in, and it looked world class. That's one of my few criticisms of women's wrestling in the modern era. Some women are a little bit guilty of not making it look real enough, They don't put their forearms in properly. It looks like they're not hitting each other. And it really annoys me because, I'm all for wrestling. I'm all for the kayfabe, obviously. I'm all for wrestling and suspending my disbelief, but I can't do that if you're not connecting properly with your forearms and your punches. There's a way of making it look real without it being real, and if you're not even trying to make it look real, it kind of comes across as a bit fake to me, and that really is disappointing. But overall, still an excellent match, and a lot better than your average, clusterfuck on SmackDown every week, so I can't complain too much. So, Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. The only thing I have to report about this match is that, first of all, Damian Priest, what the fuck are you doing taking a flat back bump with your lower back on the steel steps? Holy shit. Off the ring apron.
Yeah.
Gnarly
that one,
as fuck.
I cringed. I cringed real hard on that one.
It just gave me shivers, that bump. No, I would never take that bump. Also, Finn Balor going over pissed me off no end. I don't understand what it is, and I'm going to use this match in comparison to the match with Karrion Kross and Tommaso Ciampa. When you're a bigger guy, much bigger than your opponent and you're jacked, you shouldn't be fucking bumping your ass off like a lunatic. And for me, Damian Priest, it comes from a good place, I'm sure. He wants to make sure that he can show off everything he can do. But he has got so much upside, so much potential. He's got a great look. His moveset's phenomenal. He's very charismatic. He's actually reasonably good on the mic. I love all the presentation of it. He's fucking cool. However, at the same time, he's bumping way too much. For a Finn Balor who doesn't need a win either. if something didn't click here. And it was one of the bigger letdowns of the night for me. Not because the match was terrible by any means, it was fine. It was actually a good match, and I really enjoyed a lot of what Priest was doing in this match. But for me, I don't understand why Balor needs to go over. He doesn't need the win. And ultimately, the ironic thing about it is, in the promo about it, now everyone who listens to this podcast knows I'm not a huge fan of Finn Balor. I think he's massively overrated in the WWE system. And he said, oh, you know, you've just been treading water. No, mate, that's what you've been doing for the last 3 years. That's all that you've been doing. And the fact that people still remember you most as the first Universal Champion who popped his shoulder out in that said title match speaks volumes about what you've done as a career. It really hasn't worked since he came up from NXT. It just hasn't. He was phenomenal in NXT originally. And the ironic thing is, he's taken that mediocre persona that he had on the main roster, and he's brought it down with him. And he works fine matches. He's not terrible by any means, but he's so bland and forgettable to me. That's really him, because he just lacks so much personality. Yeah, it was a fine match, but it didn't achieve anything. And it doesn't help Priest. Priest still feels like he's in exactly the same place that he was going into this match.
Yeah, I feel like he needed the win here because him and Keith Lee had a few matches over the last few months and lost all of them. I think he was involved in like a 3-way match at some point with Lee and Dijakovic, and like he's not picking up any wins. And I think the guy has a huge future ahead of him in NXT. I remember seeing some of his stuff in Ring of Honor, and I was a really big fan. And he's just losing to a guy that's already established, whether we like him or not. He is an established star. He doesn't need the win here. They just gave it to him because now he has the most wins overall in TakeOver history, because WWE is obsessed with records. And to that end, they made one of their biggest future stars suffer. There's a lot of confusing booking on this show. And while it was still a good show overall, I think, a lot of questionable decisions.
A lot of 50-50 booking, you might say.
If that's not classic WWE, I don't know what is.
That's its biggest problem for me, is the fact that a lot of it was very 50-50 booking. Like, oh, you know, Tegan Knox gets her win back. Oh, Finn Balor gets his win back. Why? Don't need it. Don't need to. There is nothing wrong with somebody losing, you know, more than once in a blue moon. There's nothing wrong with that. Fuck me, The Rock used to do the job to people all the time. He fucking did the job to Hurricane when he came back. You know, a bit, at least Stone Cold was, you know, causing an interruption, but that doesn't matter. It's still a win for the Hurricane. Can you imagine in this day and age, oh yeah, John Cena, I want you to do the job for, I don't know, Blake from the Forgotten Sons. It's not happening, is it? Well, it's certainly not happening now. Thank you very much, Jackson Roker. But yeah, it was okay, but it was kind of forgettable, and I'm disappointed because I feel like Damian Priest, this did nothing for him. I really don't think this did anything for him, and I think they seem to book him as if he's the same size as someone like Balor, and he's not. He's genuinely a bit of a monster. Fucking book him like one, like they did later on with Karrion Kross. That's how they should have booked Damian Priest, because then you'd have two world-class big guys running around, and instead you've got two world-class big guys, but one of them looks like a fucking normal-sized guy who's just he's a bit of a jobber, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's a bit of a jobber. He's a high-profile jobber, is what Damian Priest is, and I think that's disappointing. The NXT North American Championship, Keith Lee defends his title against nasty, bad man heel Johnny Gargano. This match was fucking amazing. I loved everything about it. From the start, when he comes out of the door, you know, and he puts the key in his pants, and and there was so many great references to being in your house. I haven't enjoyed the build-up that much. I don't like the idea of Keith Lee being a Goober family guy. You know, when he was sitting there with a flashlight and he was like, I'm trying to go. I just thought, that makes you look like trash. That makes you look so childish, so pathetic. That's very much, it's almost like Vince McMahon popped in and went, get her to do this, it'll be fucking money. No, it isn't. Go away. Leave these people to be the destroyers they are. But Keith Lee, as a star and as a presentation, is amazing. And I actually think he should have lost, because I think he should be on the main roster, because he is ready to be a big name, big brand superstar on Raw and SmackDown and on major pay-per-views. But alas, he defends his title successfully in a world-class match with a couple of very shady-looking booking decisions for me. What did you think, mate?
I'm with you. I think Gargano should have won. This heel turn, him and Candice, I think, is doing wonders for his career. I mean, he's just my hero of the night because he actually used the front door of the house. I was really worried that no one was going to do it, and my boy Johnny came through. So that's a win.
Came through the front door.
Yeah. And then, like you say, like locks the door, puts the key in his pants, and it's like, this is my house now. Home security is very important. Well, I mean, it is, but
the camera as well, mate. The camera.
I was gonna say,
that was the highlight of the match.
It bit him in the ass. It bit him in the ass because he couldn't open the door, and then the doorbell cam is just there, and watching Lee like smash his face into the door. It was really good. The match, like you say. I mean, Johnny Gargano is one of, if not the best performer in WWE. He's been my favorite NXT superstar since forever, since, DIY days and everything after that. He is just fantastic. And I really think this title, like he could have been a 2-time North American champion and bring Keith Lee up to the main roster. Do you remember the fucking push he got at Survivor Series?
And Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going chronologically here. When it was just him and Roman. That's the last two, if I remember right. That is a huge deal for Keith Lee. Just like, sure, Roman wins, that's fine. But does he really get damaged by a loss to Roman there? No, because he went one-on-one with the fucking head of the company, like not the figurehead, sorry, like the golden boy. And then you fast forward to, like you say, the Royal Rumble. Lesnar sold his ass off for this guy. When he's just coming down to the ring and you see Lesnar just like voicing, he's like, shit, this is a big guy, isn't he? Looking over at Paul Heyman like, holy shit, have you seen this guy? He's a fucking tank. And the ovation he'll get on the main roster is actually, I mean, if there were people in the crowd. Oh, now I'm sad. But, whenever people do come back, if and when this whole COVID thing is lifted and all that bullshit, he will get a huge ovation. He could easily be a world champion. He could carry Raw or SmackDown with ease. And now he's just playing a family man who survived getting stabbed in the eye with keys. Good for him. I want a little more for Keith Lee, and I want Johnny to I want this heel turn to actually mean something. And right now, as entertaining and as great as it's been, it's kind of falling a little flat on its face for me.
Something that really stood out to this match for me, and it's something that everybody already knows, this really cemented for me Johnny Gargano's legacy as one of the best workers in the company. Now, obviously, it's a bit unfair on him because you got Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles on SmackDown, but I think Johnny Gargano is probably the best worker in the world right now. He's the guy who has consistently the best matches, and he has the best matches with everybody. And I was curious to see this match because I haven't seen Gargano wrestle a real humongous tank of a man yet. Not at least that I've seen. And the match they put together was amazing. Two little nitpicks that stop it being a 5-star classic for me. One is when you drive a key in someone's eye, that person should not then win a match. That just seems ridiculous to me. And he should have blocked it because he knew it was coming. He's like, I know what you're up to. It was a great callback, the fact that he pulled out of his trunks, and everyone then remembers what happened at the beginning of the match when he made his entrance. But no. And then also they went full Kurt Angle, near full classic for about 2 minutes where he just kept kicking him in the face and he was pinning him and he kept kicking out and he kept kicking out. And I get the story. It's not that I don't get it. It's just that I don't think it's needed. I really don't think that's needed. But other than that, this was probably the match of the night. It was absolutely amazing.
I don't think it's possible for Johnny Gargano to have a bad match. The day it happens, if it ever does, I'm sure I'm going to be devastated. But right now, that man can do no wrong.
You wait till he wrestles me, mate. Then we'll see a fucking terrible match out of him. I'll drag the worst match out of him you've ever seen. It'll be money.
I think he would actually drag the best match out of you. I think it would be the other way around.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, if I ever had the ridiculous privilege of wrestling Johnny Gargano, then, yeah, there's no doubt that he would make me look, well, far better than I have any right to look ever in my life. So fair play in that regard. But yeah, nonetheless, absolutely amazing. Like you, after this match, you probably raised quite the eyebrow when you saw that the backlot brawl for the NXT Championship was next. Adam Cole defends his NXT Championship against the Velveteen Dream. This match was incredible for the first 10 seconds, and then everything changed. Go on, mate. Give it a shredding.
This was the worst cinematic match that they have done. We all heard the stories about, you know, the NXT recruits were required to just stay there outside because it was raining. They couldn't film properly. There were so many problems with it, but they still had time to, you know, do editing and fix it and make it look good. But they didn't. Cole comes out first, which is another big issue for me. I'm the kind of guy who's a bit of a traditionalist. Champion should come out last, but whatever. That's an argument for a different day. He comes out in a monster truck, which is fine. It's just like it makes Becky's truck look like a bitch, honestly. It's just a nice, beautiful truck, some decals on it that say Undisputed Era. Cole comes out looking like a badass and, you know, sitting there waiting for the Velveteen Dream, who shows up in a Lambo, by the way. Beautiful vehicle.
Sick.
And, not as sick as the way Dream was looking when he stepped out. The boy dressed up like Negan. Fucking the red scarf, the coat. He had his own version of, I think it's Lucille, I believe is his bat's name.
The baseball bat, yeah.
Yeah. It looked... And then he took off the cosplay gear and he didn't look great. And then the match happened. And it wasn't great. The lights from the cars, like all the headlights... I swear, like, the contrast was turned up to 100 because a lot of the times I was blinded. I couldn't see what the fuck was going on. The camera would just cut super hard, so it'd be incredibly hard to follow. I'm not sure what happened, but this was not a good match. It's absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, Adam Cole's worst in the NXT. It's probably Dream's worst because they've both had really a very consistent amount of good matches. This one was just awful. And it breaks my heart because I love both guys. Cole goes over. He's still the NXT champion, 374 days or something. He's been champ well over a year. That's fine. I'm not sure who could take the title from him, or am I? With the next match, we'll talk about that a little bit because I think he would be perfect. But I don't know, mate. This match was just... I can't even say it was just there because that means it was at least good. But this match did absolutely nothing for me. You had a fire extinguisher spot, fine. Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong come out to help out a little bit. Then Dexter Lumis is under the ring with his weird mustache, and he's all like Heidenreich 2.0 in the creep factor, which is fine, I guess.
More
he
like
stuffs them in he stuffs them in the trunk of a car and fucks off. I don't know, man. This was not good, and it should have been. So,
I'm a creative guy. I live for creativity. I run this podcast. I do graphics. I do all kinds of things. I design T-shirts for wrestlers. Well, you know, you name it, I've done it pretty much. And I watched this match. I really like these creative cinematic style matches because it triggers something in me. I sit there and it gives me ideas. And also, you know, as you all know, watching wrestling with me quite a lot in the recent months, I'm always coming out with wacky creative ideas and storytelling devices. So I really, really was excited about the idea of this match because I thought, who's a better storyteller in NXT than Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream? These are two of their best. This was shit. Let's be honest, it was not good at all. It was a wrestling match per se. Like it had more, shall we say, wrestling-based content than a lot of the other cinematic matches. But actually, I agree with you when you said to me earlier while I was watching it, the ring did hinder them a little bit and wasn't really needed. This was not, I thought that we were going to get the evolution of Eddie versus Cena, the parking lot brawl for the United States Championship back in the day. I think it was 2003, 2004. But no, we didn't get that. We got a really lackluster, poorly devised, poorly written out, and poorly entertained match. Now, first of all, like you say, the lighting from the cars, super harsh. I live with a photographer, and I cannot imagine what she would think if she saw this. She'd just be like, oh my God, the harsh lighting, because I'm always hearing about harsh lighting being so important. It was trash. It made it really hard to watch, because the cars didn't just have their headlights on, a lot of them had their high beams on, which is the blinkers, whatever you want to call them. There's just no need for them. Like, no need for them whatsoever. You had the time, all the time in the world to set this up right. This was pre-taped, so there is absolutely no excuse. That's what pisses me off. Now, if this was done live, I would have forgiven a lot of this, because I would have thought, well, fair enough, they did a good job considering it was live. But it wasn't. This was all pre-taped. And like you say, there were stories that came out when they taped this. NXT staff weren't happy. The talent weren't happy. This apparently ended up, because of it being raining all day and stuff like that. I actually think if they had got the setup right, the rain would have looked fucking cool, actually. It would have made something a little bit extra for it, but it is what it is. I understand why you can't just, have wrestling. It's dangerous, isn't it? You can't just have them wrestling in the rain. That's very, very dangerous, especially if you've got a ring involved. But yeah, it was really flat, really tedious, bad editing. The set design was, like I say, poorly lit. And the areas where you didn't get harsh lighting, for instance, around, it just wasn't shot very well. Do you know what this felt like? We watched Undertaker and AJ Styles in a Boneyard match, and that was a cinematic masterpiece. And that felt like the Walking Dead, finale between Negan and Rick Grimes, which is ironic because we got Negan here, but we got B-Tech Negan is what we got, because he looked so good, and he took his gear off and he looked really shitty, actually. And Velveteen Dream is all about looking like a masterpiece. He is so fashionable, so sexy, so good, and this just made him look really cheap and tacky. He looked a little bit like Isaiah Swerve if he'd gone off the rails a little bit. Just kind of very disappointing to me. Very, very disappointing. I actually quite like the Samuel Shaw bit. People would know him as Samuel Shaw. I've already forgotten his name. That's a terrible his name. What's his name?
Dexter
NXT?
Loomis, I believe.
Dexter Loomis. What the fuck is that name? If I can get rid of that. He looks a little bit Hitlery, which is a little bit unsettling. But like you say, Heidenreich, I mean, he's definitely got the Reich part of that down, I'll say that much. He's kind of mildly entertaining because he's funny and psychotic. And like I said to you, I really want to see a follow-up where because he obviously takes Undisputed Era out, he kind of kidnaps them and takes them. No Kyle O'Reilly, which is really sad as well, because he had so much more. And I think the fact that Kyle O'Reilly wasn't a part of this did hurt it as well. Like I say, I would like to have seen a follow-up of NXT where he's in Samuel Shaw's bedroom and he's just kind of doing a Silence of the Lambs thing, like it puts the lotion in the basket. They just scaring the shite out of. I could just imagine Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish like taped up with gags in their mouths, like "Let us go, you fucking freak!" It'd just be amazing. But alas, we're not going to get that. We're going to get this. This felt like Kevin Dunn had got hold of the editing as well. The camera changes. It's like, okay, like if you're all epileptic, don't watch this match. Jesus Christ, especially if you've got photosensitive epilepsy. That is not fun at all. My final point, I feel like this was, like I was about to make this point earlier, The Undertaker and AJ Styles, right, the Boneyard match. Masterpiece. So beautifully filmed. Do you know what this felt like? This felt like a load of fucking backyard college students who tried to reenact it, but with whatever they had available in their garden. That's how it felt. It felt like a really shitty college student-y independent film version of that masterpiece. If AJ Styles and Undertaker was an Oscar-worthy performance, this was a Woody-worthy performance. It was embarrassing, to be honest, and I thought that it really shit on a lot of what was great about Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream, and even some of the spots that they did which were under their control were really terrible. Mauro Ranallo, by the way, was terrible when he called this match, and I know people are going to be so triggered by this. Do you know what? Mauro Ranallo is not good without Nigel McGuinness. He needs that guy, that heel commentator to bounce off of. And I know it's difficult for everyone, it's a different time. And I know because Mauro Ranallo has a lot of things about mental health, you know, about him, and it makes up a lot of his identity, obviously being the bipolar rock and roller. I love that, and I really respect that. And I love and respect Mauro Ranallo, and I think he's genuinely very good at his job. But that does not mean, just because he has bipolar, or just because he's one of the best, that he's not immune to criticism. And I honestly think he has been pretty poor in the last few weeks especially. He seems to be more and more about trying to get his own commentary over as opposed to getting the product over. He screamed Panama Sunrise when Dream hit the Death Valley Driver, which, you know, the Dream Valley Driver. It just, that made no sense to me. It took me out of the moment. And that was arguably one of the best things I saw in this entire match. You know, the Panama Sunrise to end it was fine. The elbow drop that he gave Adam Cole was trash when he was sat on the chair. It looked fucking terrible. It just seemed so cheap and rushed. That's how it felt. And I could not be more disappointed. This, I agree with you, this is the worst cinematic match I've ever seen. I thought it was garbage. And the ironic thing is, all the matches that we love, Jim Cornette fucking despises. So I can't wait to hear Jim Cornette go off on YouTube about how much he loved this match. I really, because I know he will. He'll fucking love it. Because if it's crap, Jim Cornette will most likely like it, which is a shame, because I actually think Cornette does make some good points from time to time, which I know shock and horror coming from a mixed race guy especially, but it is what it is. I really, really was disappointed in this match. Could we talk about something that's really good? Could we talk about Karrion Kross with the scintillating Scarlet Bordeaux at ringside taking on Tommaso Ciampa in a knockout, drag-out fight, which really was what the match before it should have been?
Yeah, this match lasted what, like 8 minutes, or what was it, like 8-10 minutes? But that's exactly, you're right, that's exactly what it needed to be. Karrion Kross was put over so hard by Tommaso Ciampa tonight that he is the perfect candidate to take the title off Cole. He could probably just like rip off Bobby Fish's arm, slap Kyle O'Reilly with it, and his head would go flying. And like, Karrion Kross could do like Mortal Kombat style fatalities on all 4 of the Undisputed Era, and none of us would go, you know what, this is mildly unbelievable. Because he's got a crazy look in his eyes. He would kill you without a second glance. And Scarlett would be like, yeah, that's my man. God, I wish I was her man. That would be, ooh. No, Kyle. Yeah, Kyle, don't talk like that.
Save the first. He's gone back to the pond. He's gone back to the lake of thirst. He just can't help himself. He's always thirsty.
But she's just so lovely. But no, we could probably dedicate an entire... Yeah, I'm trying to be polite here. We could spend an entire day. Oh, my God. But back to the matter at hand here. Kross essentially squashed Tommaso Ciampa. It wasn't, you know, like Ciampa got in no offense. He did. He got a massive DDT. I think it's like the Widowmaker DDT he calls it or something.
That is sick.
Oh, brilliant. Much better than Randy Orton. But we all know Orton's crap.
Done it. Fuck you, Orton.
Yeah, Jay Miller, you're listening? Yeah, Randy Orton is a pile of shit.
If you're listening, Jay Miller, suck my massive boner. I had a huge erection for this match, and oh my God, Tommaso Ciampa he's basically everything that Randy Orton wishes he was.
Oh, absolutely. And he'll never be that because no one gives a shit about Randy Orton like we do Tommaso Ciampa.
But Randy Orton will be in the greatest wrestling match of all time. I hope you know this.
Oh shit! Really? I must have missed it the 8 times I talked about it tonight. Shit!
It's gonna be the greatest match ever, mate. Can you believe it? Like,
shit.
yeah.
No,
apparently, 2 scrubs are wrestling each other on SmackDown this week. Nobody cares about that, mate. We all care about Edge versus Orton, the greatest wrestling match ever. I can't believe how shitty I'm being towards this because I loved Edge versus Orton, and I give Orton a lot of stick, but he is good at what he does, and I love their match at WrestleMania. I know I'm in the minority, and everyone thought it was boring, but how sad that we've come full circle and we're now just shredding the shit out of their next match. That's so disappointing. Do better, especially for Edge, mate. Edge deserves more.
Yeah, after the story of Edge coming back and all that, he definitely deserves. I mean, the fact that he has to put up with this shit, it's sad. It's really upsetting. But let's talk about something nice. No. Let's talk about something good, which Karrion Kross is a total package. His entrance alone.
Oh. I'm gay for Karrion Kross, mate. I don't care. I'm admitting it on this podcast right now. He is a beautiful man. He's so hot. He's so menacing. He's so sexy. Like, I'm gay for Kross.
His entrance, the camera is all black and white. Scarlett comes out looking incredible. The words don't exist to describe.
Gary Stridham.
Oh. But she comes out like she's kind of like lip syncing the words to the theme song, which is fine. And then as soon as Kross comes into view, the cameras turn red. He comes out and he is such a scarily attractive man. And he destroys Ciampa. In like 8 minutes, makes him pass out with the Kross jacket, which is a hilarious name that I adore. I think it's just fucking hilarious. And he just goes over Ciampa, and Scarlett's just looking so proud. And every once in a while in the match, you could see him look at her and smile and go, yeah, she's mine, and she's hotter than any one of your girlfriends. He knows it. He is 110% aware.
We all know it. It's so tragic and so beautiful.
Yeah, we have to deal with it every single day.
It's fine. It's okay. I'll just sit here alone with my hand. It's absolutely fine. Fuck you, Karen. God, you're so hot. God, I want you as well.
Yeah, we talked about this. No one could handle both.
I'm pretty
sure would die.
I've fallen into your lake of first.
I mean,
I've spent all this time trying to drag you out, and at the last minute, you've managed to reverse me and Irish whip me into the fucking pool of first, mate. I've fallen into the river. It's now a sea of first.
No, buddy, I just hit you with the Cactus Jack clothesline. We're both going over.
Oh yeah, I love that. If you're gonna eliminate me in the sea of first, you're gonna go in with me. Damn it.
Oh yeah, I'm not coming alone. That was pathetic, but it was funny.
I'm not sure if I feel seedy or aroused. Or both.
Can't it be both? Yeah.
It can be both. It can be both, and it can be both for these two because Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux are so fucking good. It's unbelievable. And by the way, I'm not on the bandwagon because I started this motherfucking bandwagon. Me and Steve used to cover Impact like over a year ago, and we were talking about how Killer Kross is going to be a fucking megastar. And I was like, yeah, whatever. He's on Impact. Nobody cares. Isn't it funny how pathetically blind WWE apologists are about great talent? It's like, oh, fucking Impact wrestlers are shit. No one on Impact could ever be. Oh, what? Karrion Kross on NXT? Oh, yeah, he's fucking incredible. It's so funny how quickly they turn. Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, they all got that treatment. Kevin Owens. Oh, Kevin Owens is a fat piece of shit in Ring of Honor. Fucking hate him. El Generico is fucking what? Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens on NXT. Oh, the two best wrestlers of all time, mate. Oh my god, it's such hypocrisy, such double standards. It cracks me up. Killer Kross has always been great, and he is gonna be a megastar, providing Vince obviously doesn't get too much of his hands on him. But even then, I think even Vince is looking at him going, oh yeah, he says fuck on his Twitter. He's so edgy. I want him. Money.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... He's the total package.
Money and those muscles and hello, Scarlett. Like, it just Killer Kross would be like, you could decide not to push me, Vince, but then you wouldn't get to see this. And he'd just pull in Scarlett Bordeaux into the room. He'd be like, that's right, that's money. That's it. You're new Universal Champion. You're not even going to wrestle for it. I'm just giving it to you now. Fuck Braun Strowman.
Yeah, but you just know because Vince has that terrible tendency to try and, get close to the ladies. I think if you try to do that to Scarlett, Cross would murder him. Yeah, he would die. I don't know how, but I'm sure he's very inventive and something would happen. oh boy.
It finally comes
He's
full
scary.
circle and Vince's limo blows up for real. Oh dear. Yeah, no, he's a masterpiece. An absolute masterpiece. He looks incredible. His work is incredible. Karrion Kross is and not only that, in a more serious tone. I watch his self-motivation videos that he posts, and they really inspire me as somebody who works so hard to try and deal with so many demons and so many, racial conflicts and everything that goes along with my sexuality and stuff like that. To be able to see somebody who is in such a prominent position not be afraid to just share who he is and define who he is, and not be like, I'm not going to compromise myself just because I'm under WWE contract. I'm still going to be this man. I'm still going to be the guy who really showed out in Impact, who really showed who he was. I love this. There's no compromise about him. He is like, no, I'm going to do what's right for me. I am creatively, in control of what I can be and what I can do. He's an absolute masterpiece. He really is. I genuinely believe him to be one of the coolest and most exciting talents I've ever seen in my entire life. That's how good I believe Karrion Kross is. And the way, as a side note, I can't leave it without pointing out just how much Tommaso Ciampa was fantastic in this match. From the way he was willing to sell, the way he was willing to hit his offense so hard, but he didn't have I love it. Like, he hit him with some really savage stuff, and Karrion Kross just bounced up. He sort of took it. It was sort of like, oh, you motherfucker, but also like, yeah, hit me again. This was a fucking masterpiece of a match, and the only thing that stops it being 5-star for me is the fact that it's obviously too short and it's more of a device than it is a world-class match, and it's not meant to be that. What I love about this is they've gone out there and said, you know what? Not every match needs to be a 25, 30-minute barn burner, and I think NXT fans are a little bit spoiled with those matches, and they don't appreciate that there are other matches available to you, and this is one of them. This was, like you say, this was kind of a squash match, but it wasn't a job, if you know what I mean. This was a man who just overpowered one of the very best talents NXT has ever had, one of the best characters that's ever been had, and I'd be all for them going back and revisiting this a couple of times. Tommaso Ciampa saying, do you know what, wrestling didn't work. I can't beat you as a pure athlete. So maybe we need to turn things up a notch. Maybe we need to get more violent. Maybe we need to get more physical, because then you unlock even more potential and more traits of Karrion Kross. Because we'll see, imagine him trying to waterboard or fucking strangle Ciampa to death with a chain or something. Like, it's just so many moments of potential, and nobody, Karrion Kross has always been incredible, but nobody has gone out there and made him look this incredible before. And this was just a absolute masterpiece. I fucking love it. Karrion Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux, you are on your way to being truly one of the best entities in all of wrestling around the world. I'm so thrilled. I really am. And the thrill continues, my friend, because as we revisit the lake of thirst, the river of thirst, the sea of all thirstiness, Io Shirai captures the NXT Women's Championship in an amazing triple threat against Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. Congratulations, Carl. You called it. You made the prediction. I had Rhea Ripley. You had Io Shirai. I thought Ripley would get a win back, but Io Shirai finally realizes her dream and becomes a major title holder in one of the biggest platforms you can ask for. And Joshi Wrestling reigns supreme. The WWE Raw Women's Champion, Joshi. The AEW Women's Champion, Joshi. And now the NXT Women's Champion, Joshi. Congratulations, Io Shirai. Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why I was so dedicated to this, but I knew it was going to happen. I knew it in my heart of hearts, deep down there in my soul, or I just sank to the Marianas Trench of the Sea of Thirst. I don't know. But Io gets the win. The match was so good. So much fun. I'm so speechless because I loved it so much. If you want women to beat the shit out of each other, you get Io Shirai, you get Charlotte Flair, because they were laying into each other. Jesus Murphy, they were beating the holy hell out of each other. Rhea was in there too, she got her licks in, but I don't know, man, just whatever Charlotte and Io were doing, they were just smacking the bloody hell out of each other. It was just brilliant. The last half of the
Take
show.
us on that journey, mate. Take us on the journey. Tell us about the spots. I'll allow you to have all the platform here, mate. Get involved.
Well, I mean, the biggest one for me, obviously, is Io jumping off the roof of the house. Charlotte threw her through the window, kind of thing. There was no glass.
Foley-esque.
Yeah, like there was no window, like glass per se, but Charlotte just threw her up there. Her and Rhea were beating the shit out of each other on the front lawn because that's essentially what it was. And then, the camera pans back for a second and you're like, wait, what's that? And you're like, oh no, she's going to jump, isn't she? And she did. She didn't do anything insane. She didn't try and do a moonsault, which would have been cool to look at, but God, if you messed that up. So she just hit a high cross body. Still looked fantastic, but it was the end of the match. That got pretty gnarly, didn't it? There was a... I'm not going to call it a botch because I don't think it was. I think maybe she not necessarily did it on purpose, but just a little more high impact. What's more high impact than a woman backflipping from the top rope and her knee landing in your face?
Boom. Knockout blow. If I was Rhea Ripley and I'd realised what had happened there, I would have just basically sold it like I've been completely knocked out.
I think she did. At least, like, while the camera was there, before the streamers and the fucking ribbons and the confetti. It was like a Wrestle Kingdom main event celebration is what it seemed like.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Yeah, real honor, a lovely honor. And it shouldn't be, I don't want to make it all about something else because it's her moment, but you got to think, Hana Kimura would have loved this moment so much and she would have just been smiling so much at this beautiful moment. And there's been some lovely tributes to her, some very subtle ones. Kairi Sane with that lovely tribute, remembering her on her umbrella and her entrance on Raw, and, Sasha Banks wearing the lovely kind of armband as a tribute on the same time, on the same moment as well. Obviously Shad Gaspar represented on Big E's arm as well. And you got to think, Japanese women's wrestling took a huge emotional hit with everything that went down with Hana Kimura, and none more so than the Company of Stardom, which has had to try and handle this the right way and is going to have to try and rebound through all of this. And to see so many magnificent, world-class and deserve it. It's not a case of they've been given it because everyone feels sorry for them. They've been given it because people are finally starting to realise that Japanese women's wrestling is by far and away, and I don't think I'm engaging in hyperbole here when I say the best women's wrestling in the world. It really is. And that is an absolute definition of greatness when you look across all the companies. And the fact that Io Shirai captures it as well is beautiful. I'm so thankful that we live in an era where somebody like Io Shirai is given the opportunity to thrive, because you got to think 10, 15, 20 years ago, this is not going to be the case. And nowadays we live in a much more progressive, a much more understanding world that realizes that, hey, this woman is fucking world class, and world class people deserve titles. And can we also just point out the fact that, I know people shit on Charlotte Flair a lot. She was great in this match. She sold her arse off. She took a hell of a licking. Now, ultimately, I know that she wasn't going to get pinned. I understand that. That's fine. And people were probably triggered about, oh, fucking Charlotte couldn't even take the fucking pin. She doesn't need to. She still lost the title. She was absolutely fantastic. And the little things really matter, and none more so than at the end when she's got the figure eight locked in and, the moonsault hits. Io Shirai gets the pin, and during that moment when she's pinning her, Charlotte, of course, because of the figure four leg lock, can't move, and she's locked in and she's trying to sell her like, no, I can't break up the pin. No, little things like that are what make you a world-class superstar. So everyone really put in a fantastic shift in this. And although I wasn't a huge fan, the only criticism I had of this match was that I didn't like the fact that Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley seemed to have a problem selling each other's offense, particularly when they were around the set. They were just kind of taking moves. She threw a plant pot at her, and rightfully so, she didn't sell it because she completely missed her. It was a bit of a tragic throw, actually. And I'm sure that Botchamania will have a great time taking the piss out of that and putting some Simpsons reference on it. But yeah, but even then, at least it looked like two women who legitimately wanted to kick each other's asses, and it wasn't just two women who kept botching each other. So it kind of still worked to a certain extent, but it should not take away from a absolutely magical match. And once again, the women main event, and rightfully so. You know, Charlotte Flair is part of that incredible trend set. But what she's doing for me is she's bringing the game and the potential and the strength of all women's wrestling up with her, as opposed to just going over everybody. And I'm sure everybody's thrilled that she's no longer NXT Women's Champion, but I really think that she helped elevate this belt.
Oh, without a doubt, man. Like you say, people are going to bitch and moan about Charlotte Flair, but she's one of the best performers in the company, male or woman. Like, it doesn't matter. And she brought eyes to the product, which was very needed with how successful AEW's been. She didn't hold the belt for that long. What, a couple months? April, the beginning of June.
Like a couple of months.
It's not that big of a deal. And now we got this beautiful moment where Io Shirai, she's the NXT Women's Champion. Now, this is actually really interesting. Like, where's Charlotte going to go from here? Is she going to chase after Io for a while? Is she going to go back to, I don't even remember what show she's actually supposed to be on. I think it's Raw. She has a match with Asuka tonight on Raw, so who knows? But those two always have a banger of a match, so that'll be great. And now Io, was she a heel? Could you technically call her a heel? Because it didn't seem like that. And like from her social media posts and stuff, it kind of looks real like she's kind of a babyface now. And now she can have a bunch of incredible matches with some of the heels on the roster. Give her a match against Dakota Kai. I think that would be really, really fun. Give her a match with, I guess Bianca Belair is on Raw now. Give her another match with Candice with the roles reversed. I think that could be really, really fun. There is an infinite amount of possibilities with Io Shirai as the NXT Women's Champion, and I have never been so excited.
Yeah, it capped off what was actually a really entertaining show. And I've seen some people saying on social media this wasn't that good in NXT TakeOver and things like that. I actually thought it was excellent. Is it top 10? Is it top 5? Possibly not. But the great thing about TakeOver is the standard is so high that these shows are always going to be fantastic, even if they don't necessarily... There's always something for everybody, isn't there? Sometimes I can watch a Raw or a SmackDown pay-per-view, and it does kind of feel like it doesn't appeal to me. I can watch it and think, oh, fuck's sake, there's nothing really on here that really kind of captures my imagination. But I can't say that about NXT TakeOver. They always have 2 or 3 world-class matches. You know, Gargano and Lee was fantastic. The women's main event was utterly fantastic. Karrion Kross versus Tommaso Ciampa was fantastic in a different way. There was a lot here. There was a lot to get your teeth into. And ultimately, it's a rip-roaring success because what NXT does better than any other brand in WWE is it helps ensure and get all of its talents over. You know, so many people come out of this show looking like stars, and there were some mistakes. I don't feel like Damian Priest is nearly as big a star as he should be coming out of this. I don't think that the women's tag match really served any purpose, and it just further kind of signifies the point that I've made that I don't think they believe enough in Dakota Kai being a big star, which is a shame because I think she's absolutely amazing. But the pros far outweigh the cons, and this was an excellent night of entertaining wrestling. And also, it was 2 hours 20, mate. And I hate to keep banging on about it every time I watch a shorter brand pay-per-view, but this is how long a pay-per-view should be. You know, just like we wax lyrical about Karrion Kross and Tommaso Ciampa. Turns out you do not need to literally drag us through hell for 7 or 8 hours to put on world-class entertainment, and people don't need 30, 40 minutes to have a great match. And then equally, the shows don't need to be 4, 5, 6 hours long with a 2-hour pre-show to be entertaining. This was 2 hours 20, and it was phenomenal entertainment, phenomenal value for money, any way you look at it. And it was littered with world-class superstars. And some of these people I genuinely think we're going to be remembering and we're going to be talking about in an even higher format in the years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, this takeover was fun. But they have to try and outdo themselves, which means the bar just keeps going up and up. It's just impossible to expect like those, you know, Chicago 2 or the first Brooklyn. You're never going to get that every single time. But this one was still a lot of fun. There's some excellent stories that are going to come out of all the very odd booking decisions. So even if we didn't exactly like how we got there, this is where we are now. And I've told you guys 100 times, I can't watch NXT live regularly because since they went live, I don't have USA. So it was actually a really nice breath of fresh air to watch NXT for once. And it was so easy to remember why I fell in love with it in the first place. So I'm going to do my damnedest to try and help the boss here cover NXT more, even if I have to watch it the next day on the network. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do my best to get back on this bandwagon.
Yeah, my kind of promise to everyone listening, especially if you are subscribed, or even if you're not subscribed, and you absolutely should be subscribed by this point, to our wonderful YouTube channel. My point is that I would very much like to start covering NXT as well for the podcast via our YouTube exclusive review. So I'm going to try my damnedest to make sure that is the case, and we don't just have Dynamite covered, we also have NXT covered, because this reminded me why I still love WWE and NXT so much. It is just as good as Dynamite when it's done right, and it's, to be honest, I think both companies are really knocking it out of the park with some world-class content. They really are. I actually think Raw has been excellent. I'm very excited about SmackDown this week, who couldn't be, with Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles in what is being touted as a genuine match of the year candidate, which is not really a surprise when we're talking about these two guys. And ultimately,
not going to be the best match ever, though, is it?
It's not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever, mate, because unfortunately for them, Edge and Orton have already got that wrapped up. But Backlash is coming soon as well. Backlash
I think it's a week today.
It is, and I look forward to covering that as well. So we're going to be all over the Backlash bandwagon. I look forward to checking that out and watching that. I can't wait, mate. I get to see the greatest wrestling match of all time. I've been assured that it's the greatest wrestling match ever, so there's no reason why it shouldn't be, because WWE always fulfills all of its promises, particularly on the main roster. But all that hyperbole aside, it was a fantastic night. I want to know what you guys think. Have you been listening to this review? Let us know what you thought, whether you agree with us about the cinematic match or not. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your interactions. And if you have any, you're welcome to send them to us at WrestleBlog on social media, WrestleBlog.com. You can use to contact us as well. Emails, the like, you know where to get us. And if you got any opinions on NXT TakeOver in your house, you can send them to us. But from myself, Aeron, and of course, my wonderful co-host, Carl Wilkinson, thank you very much again for tuning into the WrestleBlog podcast. We got a shit ton more content coming. We ain't easing up on the content. We've got so many interviews about to drop. So if you're a Brit Rest fan or you want to learn more about the British wrestling scene, then get involved. But we've also got some international stars coming too, which I'm very excited about. A couple of amazing European wrestlers have swung by the WrestlePlug to chat with me about their career so far and what they think about the state of wrestling. So that is something you should really check out. And of course, every week, myself and Carl Wilkinson are part of the State of Wrestling Address. Normally at the back end of the week, a Thursday, Friday, or a Saturday, depending on content, but always at the back end of the week, the State of Wrestling Address, where we discuss the week's wrestling topics. And you can have your say on those as well by contacting us. Anything you want to say about wrestling, doesn't matter if it's negative, positive, indifferent, send it to our social media so that we can discuss it and make sure that your voice is heard, because this platform is just as much about you as it is about us. It's about the wrestlers, it's about your voices, and we want to make sure that you get involved and have your say. We're not like other podcasts. We actually give a shit about what you think. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you very soon for more nonsense and a shitload more content from the WrestlePlug.
This content was brought